Michigan State is under scrutiny in the wake of former USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar's sentencing. Nassar served on the school's faculty and saw patients at Michigan State University for nearly 2 decades. Many women who spoke at Nassar's sentencing took aim at both USA Gymnastics and the university for failing to protect its athletes and ignoring warning signs.
Now, students are calling for cultural and administrative changes on campus. And for more on the student body's reaction, let's bring in Rachel Fradette. She's a student at Michigan State University and editor-in-chief of the school's newspaper, The State News. Rachel, great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this. The editorial board wrote up this story calling for all enablers to resign. You say MSU's house is on fire and there is only one way to build a new house. And President Simon, as you know, has stepped down. Do you think the stepping down of President Simon is enough?
I think that what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the answers for the survivors who have been dealing with this for so long. I think what our questions are, what theirs are. With President Simon resigning, will this be enough? If you read our editorial, I think we're trying to get to the point that just having Simon step down will not be enough. We need to see a lot more cultural change at Michigan State University, or it's going to continue. It's not going to stop. And that's what we really need to see. We need to see a change. We need to see something in our leadership that is showing that we're ready to make the most out of this. We're ready to learn from what we've done. And I think we really need to see a change up.
So Michigan State University is a massive school. Not everyone is going to be directly impacted by what happened with Dr. Larry Nassar. What are you hearing from students there? How do they feel about this whole mess?
I think a lot of students are upset, but in a different way. They're very guilty about what's happened. They're very upset that these survivors went so many years without being heard. And I think what's really hurting is this happened at their school, at a place where they call in some form home. And I think what's really, really hitting hard for them is that with Simon's resignation, we're kind of in uncharted waters. They don't really know where we're going. But I've seen tremendous things on their part. I mean, the ISZone obviously raising money for sexual assault programming, and a bunch of students marched on Friday, so they're definitely getting involved. They want to be a part of this story and which way we go.
And Rachel, as you know, there's also a new ESPN report about the school's mishandling of sexual assault cases, detailing a pattern of administrators and athletic officials improperly dealing with complaints against athletes and coaching staff. What are your reporters learning about this?
Our reporters have actually been briefed, and we were ready for OTL, and we were expecting this because of the lawsuit. They were filing for those documents, and we were ready for something to be coming. And so when it did ultimately come, we've been covering it and seeing what they have. And some of these stories that OTL has have been circling the MSU community for years. And the OTL reporter, Paul Levine, was able to get a lot of the victims to come forward and talk about what they were going through. And we're just trying to stay on top of it and see what else comes forward, and also hold accountable all of the coaching staff and the players.
You know, Dr. Larry Nassar moved around a lot, and this story is focused on him. But as we've seen with this whole Me Too movement, once one domino falls, it seems like many more will come, whether it's people protecting the accuser, or the accused rather, or whether or not it's other sexual assaults that are sort of emerging. What's your message to students on other campuses that may be looking around and wondering, you know, what else is being covered up?
I think my message for other universities and colleges that are kind of watching while this is happening is, this could be your school. This is not something that is mutually exclusive to MSU. This is an issue that has been going on college campuses for years. And if they really, really want to dig, especially the college newspapers, start digging into your athletic program, start paying attention to your administration, and start realizing that this issue is a culture problem, and it's not just one school. It's when we decide that it's one school that this will happen again. So I really think that we need to be paying attention, and we need to be looking at ourselves and reflecting on and seeing that not only has this happened at MSU, but people have been comparing us to Penn State. But when will we start saying that this could be at any university? We need to start holding each other to account and paying attention.
Yeah, Rachel, I think you're so spot on when you mentioned that this is sort of uncharted territory, because we are talking about a culture shift, not just on campuses, which is a conversation that has been going on long before Larry Nassar, but in this entire country. And we still don't really know. We're still trying to figure out the rules of engagement. But we know some things definitely cross the line.
And,
For sure. No.
Go ahead, Rachel.
No, I was just going to say I completely agree. What I'm really seeing here is the national movement is having a massive effect on what we're doing here. It's had us having survivors come forward for the first time in years just to say that something happened to them. And I think when you mentioned that the Me Too movement is definitely having an effect, it is at MSU, that's for sure.
You know, I talked to some women yesterday during the coverage of the Grammys, because this is a conversation that's happening across all industries, across all segments of this society. And I was struck by what India R.E. told me, which is that if you talk to a woman in the music industry, every woman will have at least 100 stories in their entire life to talk to you about. They just have never had a platform or voice to do so. So what you're doing, what your reporters are doing at the State News, and what we've been seeing across the country is really important work, Rachel, so we appreciate it. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you so much for having me.